Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alive and in Color presents the COVID-19 vaccines, Vax over Fear. See what I did there? Facts over fear. This is in partnership with the Black Cross, Atlanta Medical Association, and Usher's New Look Foundation. I will allow me to reintroduce herself. Let me turn these off so I can see your face. I'm trying to hide these comments so I can see your face. Skye Vaughn, Youth Ambassador for Usher's New Look Foundation. Hi, Skye.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Also joining us, Dr. Frank K. Jones, MD, immediate past president and chairman of the board, Atlanta Medical Association. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing good. How are you all doing?
I can't complain. Trying to kind of get through this. We thought it was over, Doc. What's happening?
I thought we were over too. Looks like we're starting all over again.
As some of you may or may not know, in Fulton County, there's a gap of approximately 90,000 people between non-Hispanic whites who have been vaccinated and African-American residents, which leaves us vulnerable. Our friends at the Black Cross, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Alive and in Color are here to help you make empowered decisions about what's going on with your life. So, Skye, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do as a youth ambassador and advocate for Usher's New Look Foundation?
So I'm a participant in Usher's New Look, and as a youth ambassador, I host sessions, and so I've hosted COVID-19 sessions with the University of Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, and so I basically lead talks on information on it and facts over fears and debunking myths and things like that.
Okay, super, Skye. How old are you, Skye?
I'm 15.
Come on, Skye. I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Jones, we keep hearing about herd immunity. And I think, I'm going to say, there's a bunch of us waiting on herd immunity. It's a bunch of people like, oh, I just wait for the herd immunity to get here. Can you help us understand why herd immunity is so important?
Well, herd immunity is important because, in simple terms, the more people that are immune, that already have the vaccine, and we're immune, then that means it's less of a pool of people that are not vaccinated or not immune. And so now with these variants, especially these variants are attacking people that are not immune. And so we need about 70 or 80% of people to get the vaccine. And unfortunately, if we don't hurry up and get enough people vaccinated, there's a risk that those of us that are vaccinated may not work against the variant because, now it's having a chance, the virus is having a chance to bully those people that are not vaccinated. So that's why it is so important for those people to get vaccinated.
Now, Skye, from what I understand, youth and young adults, your squad, represent a large portion of vaccine-eligible residents who have yet to be vaccinated. And teenagers, I can understand to a certain degree. Your parents have a little bit of say-so with that. But why do you think we are seeing this gap, particularly among young people in general?
I think there's lots of things that go into that, and part of that is, I think teenagers, we have warranted trust issues with it. And so some of the trust that we see in the vaccine, we may think that it's true, but then we go online and we may see so many other things that tell us that that is incorrect. And then also, I think it depends on the environment that you live in, and depending on that, that may influence your thinking on how the vaccine is.
I agree. She brought up a very important point there, Doctor. Social media, so many things that are just not true, just not real, running around on social media. Unfortunately, lots of people don't take the time to fact check. They'll just see something, repost it for whatever. What are some of the most common misconceptions about the COVID-19 vaccine that you've seen shared on social media?
Well, there's so many of them, I don't even know where to start. But I want to start with what we need to do is just to be able to educate people about the virus and about the vaccine. We're not really trying to tell you what to do. We just want to answer your question. And there's so much misinformation and disinformation going around. There was a time when people used to trust their doctors. And But now people aren't doing that. And there's a good reason. I mean, Black people as a people, we have reason to be skeptical about the healthcare system. But still, again, what we're trying to do is educate you and answer your individual questions. Just to touch on some of the myths, people talk about the chip being placed in the vaccine. But probably one of the most common questions we get is that it was developed so fast. It wasn't. It was developed over 20 years ago. The technology and the platform that's being used was developed and has been used over 20 years ago. Other things such as, it's going to make me fertile.
When you say that, Doc, that's alarming to some people when you say that. And a little clarify that just a second. You're saying that it's 20 years ago. We ain't heard nothing about COVID-19 20 years ago. So explain what you mean by that.
The technology and the way the vaccines were made was used over 20 years ago.
Okay.
Using what the messenger RNA, and I don't think we want to get into all that today, but
right.
But the messenger RNA was used over 20 years ago. It was used in some of the other viruses that other pandemics not pandemics, but other viruses that we had a few years ago. And so the people that developed the vaccine have been working on this for a long time. Mm-hmm. And actually they're working on the next pandemic. There's always a pandemic right around the corner. If you wait until the pandemic gets there, we're going to be too far behind. So the technology, just like technology with anything else, it moves quickly. And so we've had the technology for a long time, but this is the first time that the virus actually presented itself like this, that we were able to use that technology.
Understood. Skye, what is something that you absolutely, being so educated on the subject matter, something you've seen on social media, you were like, oh my God.
Well, some of the things that I have seen are that if, let's say, for instance, that you get the vaccine and you maybe have a friend who doesn't get the vaccine. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, if you have the vaccine, you're automatically protecting both of us. And so therefore we can still, hang out if we want to because you have the vaccine, so you're fine. I'm not going to give you anything. And that just is not true. As much as social media is a platform for so many different things, unfortunately, it is also a platform where there are lots of myths and misinformation of people saying these things that just are not true.
Agreed. Well, how do we, Skye, I'm asking you first, how do we overcome these feelings of apathy and mistrust? I know they're generational, but what do you say to your peer group to say, hey, how do you help overcome that?
I think one of the biggest things is to do your own information. I think, yes, you have trusted adults around you that you should trust and you should look for them and trust some of their opinions. But I think there's also a big part in looking on maybe the news for your own information and seeing what you can find out yourself and seeing if some of those things that you learn don't match up. Because then if you maybe learn something that you thought was incorrect, then you can share that with more people and then the word can just spread and things can get better.
Let me ask you, Doctor, as someone who's actually grown up living through all of this mistrust and rightfully so in lots of regards, this mistrust that our community in particularly has, not only with politicians, but then extending to what's happening with the government and with doctors. How do we overcome that?
Well, those are kind of two different issues, but they're related. It's up to us in the medical community to earn the trust of our Black community. It's not up to our Black community to just automatically trust doctors, but it's up to us to earn that trust because there are very valid reasons why we don't trust. But at the same time, it's up to us to be informed. When I was growing up, we got our news from like 3 or 4 places, and it was pretty reliable. Now there's so many opportunities on the internet and social media, and none of that stuff is actually validated. If someone could show me the facts, I would like to know. And that's when you get a chance to talk to people individually, say, show me where you found this. And they'll show you some way out, website or something. And I'm not trying to embarrass anybody or we just talk about it. And I like to say, well, what are the alternatives? We already are used to taking vaccines to go to school. That is nothing new. We've done it for a long time. When I was a child, we had to get vaccines to go to school. What's so different now about having to get those vaccines to go to school? And also the animosity and the venom. I see some of the comments online. People are just angry about this vaccine. And I wish I could take people to the hospital with me so they can see people on the ventilator. They can see people dying. They can see the wounds that people get. They can see the long-term effects of this. And then maybe people might have a different idea. But the bottom line is educating and being able to answer questions that people have.
Well, Skye and Doc, this is our short version of this conversation. Skye, if you could leave everyone in this room with some thoughts or one thought about the vaccine, what would it be?
I would leave them with, it really is a good thing to get. It is very much disproportionately hurting our community of Blacks and Browns. And I think if people can do their part and just help the community stay strong, then we can all get over this hurdle faster. As we've said earlier, everybody wants this to be over. We want it to stop, but the only way in order to get that to stop is to do something to it. And I think if you do something to it, then that will help us all.
Indeed. Same question to you, Doc. What one thought you can leave with everyone in here about the COVID vaccine?
The first thing I'd say is don't get your information from social media. Talk to somebody that you trust, somebody that you can rely on that's going to tell you the truth, that has your best interest, your family's best interest. Educate yourself. Please get off of social media. I mean, I'm on social media too, but I don't get my news from social media. And I think too many people, particularly our young people, are getting their news from social media. And so I just encourage you to talk to somebody that you trust. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It could be, your pastor, your teacher, but somebody that you trust that you can start to have a conversation to get some information.
I appreciate both of you for being here today. Golden Sunkiss asked, was I vaccinated? If you just tapped in, yes, I am vaccinated. I have to be around thousands of people at a time. And I have no desire to catch the cooties from any one of you. Skye Vaughn, Youth Ambassador, Usher's New Look Foundation, thank you for joining us today. Where can they find out more information about the New Look Foundation?
You can find it on their Instagram, Usher's New Look, and you can look up the hashtag, and it's a fantastic organization that's doing a lot to get this information out here.
And you are a fantastic young lady. It's my pleasure meeting you this evening. Doc, if they need more information from you or one of your organizations, where do they need to go?
They can go to atlantamedicalassociation.org. That's atlantamedicalassociation.org. And if I can just say one more thing, I see a lot of comments about this is social media. Again, not all social media is bad. There is some good social media, but we want you to take the time to find out the true facts. If you find some information that is very factual and you believe it, go for it. But a lot of these myths that have been debunked over and over and over again, they're just myths and rumors that are out there in the community. Indeed.
Well, Skye Vaughn, thank you. Dr. Frank K. Jones, thank you for joining us. Shout out to Alive and in Color. This has been our COVID-19 vaccines, facts over fear. Shout out to the Black Cross, Atlanta Medical Association, and Usher's New Look Foundation. Next week, we'll be joining us for a longer conversation, a more in-depth conversation. I encourage you to be on the lookout for that. I believe it's next Thursday, a week from today. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you both again. And everybody listen to V103 because I said so. Thank you, Doc. Thanks, Skye.
All right. Thank you.
All right, y'all. I will see you tomorrow morning on the Big Tigger Morning Show, 6 to 10 a.m. Pull up on me, Tyler Chronicles, Miss Basketball. We will do what we do every morning, help you get up, get out, get something. That's what we do around these parts. So I will see you in the morning. And again, thank you for joining us for this candid conversation about COVID-19 vaccines. And if you missed any part of it, you can go to our Facebook page or it'll be in our Instagram live on the I forgot what it's called now. It'll be on the damn page. Go watch it. Salute. I'm going to see Yeezy. I'll talk to y'all about that tomorrow.